99.1 FM CKXS. Time once again for the All About Real Estate Show. We do it every Saturday with Pete Allaer from Riversite Realty. Good morning to you, Pete.
Hello, Greg.
Good to have you here with us again today.
Yeah, good to be here.
Farmers Market. Don't forget to get your tomatoes and peppers and stuff down the street when you leave, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Going on today till 12 noon. It is going on there. If you're a first-time attendee of the Farmers Market, it's just down the street from us on James Street in Wallaceburg. And speaking of first-time buyers, wanted to touch on first-time buyers today when it comes to real estate because we talked about this a little while back, but man, there's nothing better than seeing, I'm sure in your business, to see somebody get their first house. That's got to be a special moment for a real estate agent.
Yeah, absolutely. It's probably one of my favorite groups of buyers is dealing with young first-time buyers. Right. I've always enjoyed it. I mean, my kids are in that age group, so it's kind of, you kind of take the father role and sort of lead them through how it all has to work. So It's fun.
And well, there is. I'm glad you bring that up because there is a process on how it works. So let's go through that, the steps that you need to do as a first-time buyer.
Yeah, so the first thing I tell buyers if I'm talking to them is, your very first step should be to discuss things with your bank or your mortgage people, whoever it is that you're going to be borrowing the money from. Right. So, I mean, sometimes it's, the bank you deal with. I mean, some banks have mortgage specialists that they can hook you up with, which I would recommend. If you go into your bank and they have a mortgage specialist that covers their bank, reach out and hook up with that person because that's all they do. And they're just very, very well versed in mortgages. Not taking anything away from the banks that, the do-all type people in the banks, but sometimes having a mortgage specialist is nice.
For sure.
They just know more. And then the other thing I always talk about with buyers is, make sure that through all of this, make sure that you understand what people are talking to you about. Because you got to understand, we do this every day, so we sometimes think that whatever we're saying to you, you'll just understand it.
Right.
So I stress to them all the time, like there is no dumb question. Like there is, if you have a question, ask the question. And it's the same with like when I get to the end of the process, it's like, I make sure that they ask questions. So the one thing I always tell them is when it comes to looking for money and figuring out how much you can afford to pay for a house, you got your down payment you got to worry about. And then you got to talk about, okay, well, you can go as low as 5% down payment, or you can go to 20% or higher down payment. What are the advantages and disadvantages of this, right? So CMHC fees or CMH, if you're going to go less than 20%, right, it has to be a government guaranteed mortgage.
Which most first-time buyers are going to go with less, right? Probably 5% minimum is what a lot of them go with.
Minimum's 5. I mean, yeah. So typically I'd say that's right, but then understand what that means. So CMHC is associated with a fee. So you have to pay. It's like an insurance policy fee. Right. So just understand what that is. And again, when you're talking to your mortgage people, have them explain to you, what is the fee? Exactly what is the percentage? What's the cost? How am I paying that back?
Right.
Make sure you understand that because, if you're talking about, like say a $300,000 house, I'm looking at a $300,000 house saying that if you put 5% down, there's a 4% fee. So 4% of your mortgage. Yeah. So 5% is $15,000, right? So $300,000, 5%, $285,000 mortgage.
Wow.
4% of that is $11,400 that now they're adding back to your mortgage. So again, I'm not saying it's the wrong thing to do. I'm just saying make sure you know what you're paying, right? And again, sometimes when people, they do it every day, they just think you understand. They're like, oh yeah, there's, here's, and they move on. So that's the first thing is knowing that. And there's advantages and disadvantages. I mean, if you have more money to put down, it's I'm a little bit old school. Like I'm more, you have more money to put down. It's not always a bad idea to put a bigger down payment. Your mortgage is smaller, your payments are smaller.
Yeah.
But you also want to buy a house. So, and in these markets, prices are higher. So you might have thought you had a good down payment, and now all of a sudden, instead of $170,000 house, you have to pay $250,000. So, but just understand that. And then once you know that, okay, I can afford a $250,000 house, then now is a good time. And I even say people reach out ahead of this, but for sure now, reach out to a realtor. Find yourself a realtor. Find someone you can trust, as we've talked before. I believe in local people. So find someone you can trust that you connect with, and then start looking at houses. So now once that process is done and you find a house, now it becomes time for, making the first time you make an offer. And with this as well, I say ask questions, like we all think that you should know, so don't be afraid to ask questions along the way. Ask what's the process.
Right.
When we're looking at houses, I even say to younger people too, and it's more difficult now, but don't buy the first house you walk into, right? Like look at a few. Mm-hmm. It's one of
hard
those,
not to sometimes, because it's the first one you see, right? And you get a little glorified, and the fantasy of owning a house is that it's hard. But you're right. Look around a little bit. Find the right one for you and your family.
Yeah, and it in this market, I know it's more difficult because houses go so fast, and you see one, but I always say it's not the last house on the market.
Right.
Like there'll be another one come up, and I'm a firm believer of, if it happens, it's meant to be, and if it doesn't happen, maybe there's something that we don't know yet that you'll be happy later. So, but then when it comes down to sitting down to do the actual offer, your initial offer there's basically three parts to it. So there's a buyer's rep agreement, a confirmation of cooperation, and the actual offer itself, agreement of purchase and sale. So the first one, buyer's rep, is it's an official piece of paper that we as brokerages need to say that you are hiring me as your agent here. So that's the first one. The second one is confirmation cooperation, which is just explaining who's playing what role. And then the third one is the actual offer itself, and that's I always say that's kind of the most important one, right?
Yeah.
So you go through it page by page. You got the biggest thing with offers. You got price, you got closing date, and you have conditions. Those are the three main parts, and then you have things that are included in the house as well. Washer, dryer, fridge, stove. Just whatever it is, maybe.
Which isn't a bad idea to ask about those, because sometimes people want to buy new and they've got 5-year-old appliances. And when you've got to stock that in your first-time house, that can all add up. So if you can pick off a washer and dryer, refrigerator, a couch here and there, it sometimes can save you quite a bit of money, and you kind of work it into your mortgage.
Well, exactly, right? So I always, more and more people are selling their homes with the appliances included, which to be honest with you it's nice for the sellers and buyers because they're not moving all these appliances all over the place. It's definitely nice for a first-time buyer to buy a home that has a fridge, stove, washer, dryer, dishwasher already there. Even if it's an older one, you can get through a few years, right? You don't have to go and spend $2,500 a day after you buy a house to start buying appliances.
Right.
So, same with other things in the house. I usually stay away from including too much furniture, because I always say to people, I sell houses, not furniture. So you want to buy some furniture, maybe talk to them afterwards. But the appliance thing, and so as you go through that offer, the last page in that offer is what they call Schedule A. And that's really the main guts to the offer. That shows where the conditions are. And that's another thing, that when you're going through the offer, make sure you understand it. Like, don't just, so many people are excited. They're like, oh, where do I sign? Where do I sign? Just slow down and have your professional that you've hired to do this, have them explain things to you. Have them walk you through each step. And if there's something on there you're not sure of, stop. And say,
you
what
shouldn't
does this
know
mean?
everything. You're a first-time buyer.
Absolutely.
Right? I couldn't remember how to buy an RSP the first time I bought one, right? That's why you have financial experts to help you do that.
To help you through it.
Same
to
thing with
guide
what
you
got.
through it.
Yeah.
To explain little things that mean something. Make sure if you have a conditional offer on there, condition on financing. Make sure that you find out. I always talk to the buyers and say, okay, what's your? First of all, I like to know who's your financial institution you're dealing with. And I know most of them. So then I kind of usually know, okay, well, they need this much time to make it. Because, pre-approvals, that's the other thing. Sometimes people walk in like, oh, I'm approved. I'm approved for $240,000. So then you say, well, do you need a finance clause? No, I'm approved. Well, hold on, right? Mm-hmm. You're approved, but you may still need a finance clause in here, right? So again, you have to explain. And I always tell them when you're with your financial people, ask these questions to them. Say, okay, I'm pre-approved. However, do I need this? Right? And most people do. Now, some people don't. I mean, some people are have the wherewithal to come in with no finance clauses. But these are all the steps that we take, and these are all the things that you need to have your people. Like if someone's sitting across from me, I always say, is there anything on this that you're not sure of? Is there any questions you would like to And I tell them, don't be embarrassed.
Now is the time.
Yeah, ask me a question here if there's something you're not sure of. And I usually know some of the questions that people have that they might be thinking of, but so I can usually lead them into the question, or I can say, look, see this?
Sure.
This is a part here that you need to understand, right? So again, you have to connect with a person. Your realtor, you got to connect with them. I
can't imagine being a first-time buyer and not using a realtor. That would just be chaos. Realtors, that's why you're there.
I have had a few people come in and they've sort of tried something on their own and things didn't work out quite the way they thought they would, or the wording, they made an offer and then they weren't sure, and they thought they had a house and then they didn't, and so I mean, we're here to sort of walk you through all of it and make sure you're protected, make sure that the right conditions are there. You understand, the offer's done properly. Dates are so important. A lot of times people are like, well, why do I need the date on a condition? What's that mean, right? Well, it's all that stuff's important, and we do it every day. And again, understand, you gotta, as a buyer, make sure that you push your realtor to explain things to you. Don't just sign blindly. Make sure you know what you're signing.
Good plan. All right. He's Pete Allaer. It's the Riversite All About Realty show that's going on today. We're going to take a little bit of a break in the action, play a song here, and then back with more, and maybe some open houses. Got some stuff to talk about coming up here, Pete?
Well, I sure do.
All right. Stay tuned. You're listening to 99.1 FM CKXS and the All About Real Estate show. Back once again with the All About Real Estate show. Pete Allaer is with us here with some open houses to plug today here. What do you got this week there, Pete?
Yeah, so we've got some new listings, and we do have one open house that's happening today from noon until 2 p.m., I believe. It is on Wallace Street 878 Wallace Street, out towards the cemetery, one of the houses that are on the river, across from the road from the river.
Good spot.
Yeah, it is a nice spot. Yeah, it's a nice house there. Nice updates. So that one's today. Then we also have some new listings from this past week here. So we've got a one at 417 William Street. It's a really, really cool house. It's a sort of a century home. You know how back on William, there's a few of them back there that are nice older homes, but have been really, really well looked after. This is one of them. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. We also have one over in VLA, 64 Warwick. It was also a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. A nice backyard and great area there. Quiet street. And then we've got one down on Canary, dead-end street off of Albert, close to Baseline, 13 Canary. It's a nice little 1-floor, 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath. It's been fixed up nicely. Nice garage, beautiful garage, nice little backyard. So, yeah, we've got a few choices. And, again, like I say every week, we can use more. We have lots of buyers. So if we get you're thinking of selling your house, reach out to us, and we can help you through the whole step, make it worry-free.
I'm just happy to say nothing is for sale on my street now. Everybody
Finally.
seems to be happy that's living there.
We got to do something to change that.
All right, he's Pete Allaer from Riversite Realty in with the All About Real Estate show. Let's give the info on how to get a hold of you again. The website, obviously, a great place to go to.
Website, riversite.com. Our Facebook page is we've got Rianne working hard on that, so she's always updating. It's a great thing to follow and like our Facebook. You'll get updates constantly. Instagram, the old-fashioned, pick up the phone and call us. You can call our office and actually speak to a real person rather than, press 1, press 3. It's at 519-627-3381, or our cell numbers are on our website. You can reach out directly to any one of our realtors. We got an awesome team. I'm really happy with what we have there. We all work well together, and and don't hesitate to call. This past week I was thinking the other night, I thought, there's nothing, I still like calling someone and talking to them on the phone. I mean, I know we all email and text and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, a good old-fashioned conversation on the phone it's still my favorite.
Yeah.
It still is.
Customer service, right? I mean, you really can connect with people and kind of feel them out when you see them or talk to them on the phone.
Yeah,
so agreed, 100%.
Definitely.
All right, he's Pete Allaer from Riversite Realty, and that's the All About Real Estate show for this week here on 99.1 FM.